They say that cricket is a game of margins, and I think the India versus Sri Lanka game, particularly that last over, was a great example of this aspect, right? When we look at that last over, we look at three incidents, right? Firstly, when we look at the third delivery in that last over, we see the fact that Rishabh Pant stood in front of the stumps rather than behind the stumps when collecting the ball, when a run out could have been enforceable. And another aspect is the fifth ball, right? The ball through which Sri Lanka ultimately won the game. Sri Lanka ran two byes, right? We see the fact that Rishabh Pant collected the ball and he immediately just threw the ball without looking at which end to throw it, whether there was a fielder backing up. It ultimately led to overthrows, and it ultimately led to Sri Lanka actually running two runs. And this is where the third aspect comes in, right? Sri Lanka running those two runs and having the presence of mind to run those two runs as a result of the overthrow, and Dasun Chanaka ultimately running those two runs even despite losing his bat halfway through. So this is where the aspect of presence of mind is extremely important, right? The Sri Lankan batsman had the presence of mind to look at where the ball is and actually run those two runs, whereas Rishabh Pant failed to have the presence of mind to actually throw the ball correctly and throw it towards the end that it should have been thrown at, or throw it while aiming at the stumps correctly, right? Or even actually running up to the stumps and trying to enforce a run out, because that over had multiple chances of runouts, but we see that they fail to have the presence of mind at that moment to actually enforce those. And this is where these minuscule details actually make the difference between winning a game or losing a game, make the difference between a finalist and a semi-finalist. And this is why cricket is more than just hitting balls, getting wickets, right? It's these tiny aspects, and fielding is a crucial aspect, right? It's these tiny aspects, it's these minuscule aspects that teams don't actually look upon, that when we analyze games we don't actually look at, because these ultimately go down as minuscule details and they don't actually seem as match defining events from the naked eye. But when we actually look closely, these are match defining events. And I would like to compare what Rishabh Pant did to his predecessor, who is Mahendra Singh Dhoni. I think all of us remember the 2016 World Cup, the T20 World Cup, where Dhoni ultimately broke the hearts of Bangladeshi fans by delivering that one-run win for India. He, in the last delivery, he took off his glove and he collected the ball where Hardik bowled another short delivery. He collected the ball and he ran up to the stumps and he broke the stumps. So that is what you call presence of mind, and Mahendra Singh Dhoni actually had that, right? In the shortest format, presence of mind is actually an extremely important element, and making those instant decisions is an extremely important cog in the machine if you want to be successful. And that is why Mahendra Singh Dhoni was an extremely successful wicketkeeper as well as an extremely successful captain in the shortest format. You would expect Rishabh Pant, who is now one of the more established players in the international stage, to have actually tried his best to actually help India win that game by defining those tiny details, right? By brushing up on those tiny details, but he did not do it. I know I'm being a bit harsh, but you would expect that since many people are calling him the first choice wicketkeeper. So in the World Cup, when you have important games, and this itself was a must-win game for India, when you have such games, you need everyone to be on their A game. You need those fine details to actually be addressed. And therefore, I think the T20 game is more than mere bat and ball, more than scoring runs, more than getting wickets, because there is this aspect of presence of mind, being in that moment and making instantaneous decisions and analyzing the game in an instant second. Yes, as a fan on the outside, as a spectator, it's easy to say, because those players have to make those decisions in just split seconds.